May 2nd, 2023, the day Maandamano resumed in Kenya. And what a strange day it was. Okay? And anybody trying to observe this from far off, in far off lands, may not quickly understand what went down. But I'm here, so let's break it down. And let us start with the typical naive analysis that misses everything. No demonstrators made it to the CBD. Therefore, the day was a failure, miserable failure. Okay? End of analysis. Yeah? Or we can look at it a little more deeply. Now, if this indeed is a battle of wits between UDA and Kenya Kwanza, then Kenya Kwanza are in trouble. Because what emerged clearly today is that Azimios outsmarted the government at every step of the way. Okay? And let us start with the kind of day the government was expecting. The government was expecting a day of running battles, seen in the media, a day when there'd be a lot of damage to property, okay, all captured in the media, and which could all be linked to Azimios. That did not happen. Not quite. May I remind you that the statement that came from Ruto was that he would put an end to Maandamano this day, once and for all. May 2nd. But that didn't happen. And now in retrospect, we can clearly see the tricks that Azimios employed. You will remember that yesterday, Azimios announced that the demonstrations were going to start at 6 a.m. As early as 6 a.m. countrywide. Okay? Now, what did that do? What was the impact of that? In my opinion, the impact of that was to stretch our security forces, our boots on the ground, our policemen, to the very limit. Remember, you're leaving a house well before 6, so that you're on the ground at 6. You're facing a very chilly weather, at least in Nairobi, even in Mombasa, believe it or not. Okay? You've not had any breakfast. Now, we're all human beings. That officer, by the time 11 a.m. comes around, they are not at their best. Okay? But there's something else even more important that this very deliberate announcement by Azimios did. It drew out the evil plans much earlier. It meant that whoever was planning to plan things during the demonstrations and blame them on Azimios would have no option but to come out very, very early, in the wee hours of the night or morning. Okay? And that is precisely what happened. A matatu turned up along Gong Road, burning. Okay? There was nobody in sight. There were no eyewitnesses. And the very keen online community, it's called the Twitter DCI. I think they need to apply for jobs at the DCI. The very alert Twitter DCI noted that that particular vehicle, which was burning, had no number plates. Now, the other thing the government was expecting was a large crowd of demonstrators to march up to deliver the petition, to the Office of the President, Treasury, IEBC, and the Public Service Commission. Nothing like that happened. Instead, members of Parliament, these are VIPs, therefore getting to town was no problem. Members of Parliament and other leaders, I guess they shared cars, got into town very early, and then they marched in a procession going to present the petition, starting with the Office of the President. This, of course, caught those who were planning evil on the government side by surprise. But still they were not allowed to present it. They were tear-gassed. Now, what is illegal about that? What is illegal about presenting a petition to a public office? Yeah. And by the way, all this is being captured by the international media. Yeah. So out there, everybody knows people are not allowed in Kenya to present any kind of petitions. Yeah. This is the old Russia, the USSR. Has Kenya become China or Russia? Yeah, where people don't have any rights? Well, it seems so. And then the Azimio entourage of leaders, Raila, Odinga and the other Azimio bigwigs, emerged at around lunchtime. And they went round and round and round, but did not stop anywhere to make an address. Now, isn't that strange? What may have happened? Just hold on to your horses for a minute. We'll come back to that. And then late in the afternoon, they emerged at a press conference, very well attended, the press there. And what they have told Kenyans explains a lot of things that unfolded on this very strange day. Now, what I got out of it all, because we have to listen very carefully to what people are saying, also to figure out what they're not saying, which is usually hinted very clearly in what they're saying. Yeah. It looks like there was a very determined effort, and people were very serious to cause casualties today. And of course, that's the government side. And indeed, according to my information, the reason why Raila did not stop to address people was not because they did not find people to address. No. It is simply because, wait for this one, it was felt that it was not safe enough for them to do so. Let me just leave it at that. You see, what has happened on this day is that the government has even been exposed more, especially government-sponsored goons, who are put there just to cause chaos, and then everything is blamed on Azimio. Just to cause damage of property, and then everything is blamed on Azimio. Indeed, these goons stoned vehicles, damaged property in sections of the city. But then because Azimio had the strategy of playing today very low key, those who were planning evil were caught completely unawares, because they expected the usual, but instead they got the unusual. And that's how the day went. Now, there is something else very disturbing that Azimio revealed to Kenyans. We were told that the cheaper versions of maize flour, now available on the market, slightly cheaper, are actually made from GMO maize. Okay? Now the issue here is that at least Kenyans should be given a choice. But in this case, you're not being given a choice. And indeed, the people at that press conference were clearly horrified at the fact that people are not being given a choice, because this is a very sensitive, serious issue. And in my opinion, I strongly believe Kenya is on the right side of history where this controversial issue is concerned. And when I say Kenya, I don't include the UDA government and the decision makers and the people who allowed this to happen, hoodwinking Kenyans in plain sight. Now, a large chunk also of the press briefing was based on the topic of the house of Mumbi, the Kikuyu community, being used, or shall I say being misused, by UDA, and being hoodwinked into focusing on the wrong things. Instead of focusing on what all Kenyans are complaining about, high cost of living, etc., etc., what has happened is that Central Kenya leaders within UDA have deliberately gone into their community and incited them. And of course, the easiest way to incite the Kikuyu community deep in the rural areas is to talk about the Luos, and Raila Odinga, which of course is very relevant when it comes to the high cost of living, because Raila is not in government. He has no say. In other words, somebody wants you to focus on something else and completely ignore the plight, the suffering you yourself are undergoing at the moment. They want to whip up your emotions against a certain community, so that will be a kind of drug to shut your eyes, to give you enjoyment, while you completely ignore the fact that putting food on the table in Kenya these days is a major challenge and continues to be a more and more difficult challenge for dear Kenyans. Kotu boss Francis Atwoli was recently quoted as saying, when somebody asked him to go and advise Raila, that he has nothing to advise Raila. How can he advise somebody who started doing politics when they're only 14 years old? That was Atwoli's response. Now, this came out very clearly in the way today's presser was organized. The statement on behalf of Azimios was read by Martha Karua from the Mount Kenya region. The main speakers at today's presser were Mwangi Ria, former Murang'a governor from the Mount Kenya region, and then Bwana Jeremiah Kioni, also from the Mount Kenya region, spoke at length, and they revealed mind-boggling details about the goons who were hired, where they met, and what they were supposed to do, and what they actually managed to accomplish in the evil scheme. In fact, Baba did not speak today. He just introduced Martha Karua and then left the talking to the Mount Kenya region within Azimio. Now. Is that smart or is it not smart? Somebody who started politics at the age of 14 years old. And therefore it is not surprising that the government is being outsmarted at every turn. Because the way Azimio came out at this presser is that they're determined to do everything strictly in adherence, strictly following our constitution. Okay? And of course we know that the government on the other side are doing many things, some of which are outright violations of our constitution, and others which are very shady. And then the biggest news of all, it is not over. Demonstrations will resume on Thursday, 4th May 2023. And therefore, in my opinion, we should expect some other moves, chess moves, because really if you look at this, we are not on the chessboard. Okay? And the way this chess game is going, I don't need to tell you. You can see it very clearly. One side seems to have no idea, while the other side seems to have a very carefully well laid plan, which they're executing seamlessly. Okay, so let's see where this ends. By the way, have you seen weekly intelligence briefings number 107? If not, I highly recommend that you make an effort to take it in, because what is in that WIB is beginning to very clearly emerge. Today the government came out with a statement concerning the autopsies, the postmortems on the victims of Shakahola. And surprise, they did not tell us anything new. They just confirmed what Kenyans already knew, that many of the victims died from strangulation. Of course, this has far-reaching implications. But then my point is, the behavior of the government in this issue. Indeed, Raila Odinga has commented on the Shakahola issue at least twice now. Indeed, even at the presser, somebody repeated Raila's words and called State House Shakahola Annex. Anyway, the details in my WIB 107 will help you to understand a lot more of what is going down here. Because I beg you Kenyans, open your eyes. There is more to this than meets the eye. It's very easy to criticize the government and tell them in the face that they're making a mistake, that they've arrested an innocent man, that nothing happened, that oh this and that happened. It's very easy to come up with those theories. But I want to quote the words of Kithure Kindiki, the internal CS. In my opinion, one of the very few people within the UDA camp who is very level-headed, and is aware of the fact that when you do things that cannot stand the test of time, you're doomed. One of the very few people who seem to know this has told us, and I quote, "We did not arrest them for nothing." Okay? Just hang on to those words. And even in the days and weeks to come, whatever happens, because there are those who believe that nothing will come out of these cases. Whatever happens, the information that is going to be released, the revelations that are going to be made, and WIB number 107 is a good place to start if you want to get a head start on what is coming. You can take advantage of our latest offer. You can even go for short-term membership, only 3 months, for only $8.88 or 888 Kenya shillings. Very little. But you'll be able to get all the WIBs from the past right up to the latest. And for the next 3 very critical months, you will also have this highly sensitive information that I cannot even put on our public channel. Right. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.